what the President of the United States did yesterday.
It starts
in the midst of a shooting rampage happening there at the Navy Yard. Now, to be fair,
and we want to be fair,
the President right off the bat said, there's a horrible tragedy unfolding right now, a cowardly act, horrible cowardly act taking place. And speaking
about Jay Carney going out.
Speaking of horrible and cowardly acts, how about those Republicans? Man,
they want to harm the country. They want to harm people.
I don't want to speak out of school or anything, but man, Republicans hate you. I'm just saying. Ma'am, look, somebody's going to tell you about your husband later. You'll be fine. We're talking about something serious here. These Republicans that are strangling the U.S. economy. Did you know they're threatening to cut the government off and just shut the government down? They're going to shut it down.
No matter who it harms.
That's right. They don't care. I gave you insurance. And Republicans want you to die. They hate you. They hate you. And did I mention the Republicans hate you?
And we don't know why.
No, we don't. We can't. I have tried to lead them at gunpoint to do the right thing, which is what I want them to do whenever I want them to do it. And they just don't want to listen. It's horrible. Horrible the things that they... I was listening to that speech going, is he for real? This is a joke, right?
That's what I did. I didn't get to
Where's Ashton?
I didn't get to hear the speech in real time. When I got home yesterday from work, I'd heard nothing about what was going on until I was listening to the radio on the way home. So I get home, and I'm trying to catch up. And the president, wait. He didn't postpone that speech?
No. Now, the postponing, it was because it was the... like this is some sort of, major historical
it was like
moment.
5 years from the day that Lehman went bust.
Yeah, Lehman crashed. So we're marking that with a presidential speech. That's like when we were in high school and we would get somebody to buy us some Boone's Farm wine, for $2, and we would say we were celebrating Daniel Boone's birthday.
Yeah,
it's equally stupid to have the president make a speech on the 5-year anniversary of the Lehman Brothers going belly up.
I thought that was part of the drinking game.
Pretty much due to Democrat policies to begin with.
So I
maybe I missed something, man.
No,
Do they know what they're doing? Is this like amateur hour? Is this like open mic night for the past 4.5, 5 years now? I went back. I've been
at least where domestic policy and foreign policy are concerned.
Man, I've been getting some trying to put together some of our old clips and stuff from previous shows, and I've had a chance to go back and listen to us. All the way back to 2010 so far. I've found some things. We've been freaking out about this Yahoo for a long time. We've been saying the same thing about this Putz for 4 years now. And it seems like nobody's getting it except very few conservatives, in pockets here and there. And then I started thinking, wait, no, there's not very few conservatives. There's a whole buttload of us. And we surround all of these idiots. We surround them. We've got them completely surrounded, and somehow or another,
as a wise man put it to me, just first thing this morning on my day job, fella, he's probably in his 60s or so. He just looked at me and said, "You do realize 13 cities elected that man."
Yeah.
That's 13 cities. The rest of the country is, for all practical purposes, red.
So them 13 cities
Those
equal
13
80 to 90%. That's because that's got to be where he's getting his numbers from, dude. The rest of the country.
Well, I
counts as
guarantee
10.
you, he didn't come down here to Alabama and ask anybody's opinion of squat. Okay,
But you know
number
what?
one,
Look, I don't-
people from Washington, except for the people that we elect from Alabama to go to Washington, Washington really doesn't like to come here. Even Condoleezza Rice, although she is from here, doesn't really live here now.
No. But look, dude, we can't. I don't want people to think we're just making this stuff up. All right. Listen to the president yourself. Like Casey said, that during this speech, while this speech is going on, wives are looking for husbands. Husbands are looking for wives. People are huddling in closets. They're cowering under desks. They're sheltering in place. They're hearing gunshots going off.
And by the way, when there's an active shooter situation, sheltering in place means sitting there and waiting for somebody to bust in and kill you.
Or sitting there and praying that someone doesn't, which is what a lot of people were doing. While all of this is going on, the president chooses that moment to make these remarks.
Reduce our debt. That doesn't seem to be the focus now. Now the focus is on Obamacare. So let's put this in perspective. The Affordable Care Act has been the law for 3.5 years now. It passed both houses of Congress. The Supreme Court ruled it constitutional. It was an issue in last year's election, and the candidate who called for repeal lost. The Republicans in the House have tried to repeal or sabotage it about 40 times. They failed every time. Meanwhile, the law has already helped millions of Americans. Young people who are able to stay on their parents' plan up until the age of 26. Seniors who are getting additional discounts on their prescription drugs. Ordinary families and small businesses that are getting rebates from insurance companies, because now insurance companies have to actually spend money on people's care instead of on administrative costs and CEO bonuses. A lot of the horror stories that were predicted about how this was going to shoot rates way up and there were going to be death panels and all that stuff. None of that stuff's happened. And in 2 weeks, the Affordable Care Act is going to help millions of more people. And there's no serious evidence that the law, which has helped to keep down the rise in healthcare costs to their lowest level in figures, is holding back economic growth. So, repealing the Affordable Care Act, making sure that 30 million people don't get health insurance and people with pre-existing conditions continue to be locked out of the health insurance market, that's not an agenda for economic growth. You're not going to meet an economist who says that that's the number one priority in terms of boosting growth and jobs in this country. At least not a serious economist.
All those other economists that are screaming about the negative effects of Obamacare, they're not serious.
They're not serious.
They're just playing.
I got a couple questions.
I have a lot of questions about that speech,
but this one I got to ask you.
All right.
Since obviously it would be not good for the President of the United States to just come out and just lie, tell big fat pants on fire kind of lies.
Fat lie.
You owe me and this family an explanation.
Pardon me?
That's right, buddy. Now, we got to get down to this. All right. You handle most of the finances here. When it's time to buy Mama's medication, why didn't you tell me it had gotten all of a sudden just so drastically cheaper for Mama's medication?
All right. Now, I'm glad you're sitting down because the answer may shock you. The president was lying. He was like big old pants on fires. Fatty, boombalatti, he done told.
I saw smoke.
A big old lie.
In that, in the video of that speech, I was seeing smoke, and now I know where it was coming from. His britches was burning.
And I think that might have been a little brimstone you was smelling because, that kind of lie that kind of line can only come from an evil place, because that's a special. That's what we Southerners call a ball.
Well, now look. So you mean it was God's honest truth when you told me, as you've told me on multiple occasions, that financially the Medicare, Mama's Medicare, Daddy's, and all this, that. So you wasn't lying. You're not the one that was lying when you said that well, there was less money coming in and more was required to go out for prescriptions.
Yeah, buddy.
And
and how the Blue Cross people that's got like the C plus and the Part D's and all of that, those rates that he said, not only did he scoff at us for saying they would go up, he says they haven't. I've got some invoices that say otherwise, Mr. President.
Well, okay. See, I'm thinking that maybe I'm starting to believe you a little bit here.
All right, wait. And he also said that there's no evidence at all. There's no evidence to link Obamacare with hurting the economy. How about that little thing where we went from a 40-hour work week down to a 30-hour work week? Dude, nobody gets 30 hours, because once you get that 30-hour mark, somebody's got to give you insurance.
Look, I think I said it on the last show, last Thursday. Look, I don't get. I'm not allowed to even approach 30 hours.
What about for the first time in our nation's history, the average age of the fast food employee is over 24. For the first time in our nation's history.
Indeed.
Now, all that aside, that was the speech he thought he needed to give while a man was shooting innocent people in the Washington Navy Yard,
which was only about half a mile away, I believe, from where he was.
Senate buildings on lockdown. I mean, during all this time, they couldn't wait. And you know what? We're not the only ones that seem to notice that. You're not going to believe this, but MSNBC noticed.
Well, now wait. I know they notice a lot of things that they just don't talk about, Marty.
Joe Scarborough took exception to this. Now, I ain't kidding. I ain't kidding now. Joe Scarborough spoke ill of the president for his time. But now, when I play this clip, I want you to listen for a couple of things. I want you to listen to some of these, I don't even want to call them people, that are making excuse, the excuse that they give for why the president, felt he had to make this kind of partisan speech.
I thought you was going to ask me to see if I could hear Mika's eyes rolling, because sometimes I think you can.
Now, I must say that I did edit some of this for time, and if you want to go back and replay the clip, you can find it over there on msnbc.com. You can find this another clip of it on theblaze.com.
We're excerpting this for illustrative purposes only.
Right. Not having to take anything out of context here. But during this little back and forth, Mika, you can tell this is just killing her. That, it was. But could we? She keeps wanting them to play this part where he opened up talking about what a horrible, senseless tragedy it was and a cowardly act. Look, no kidding. That part of the president's speech.
It was about 20 seconds.
If
total.
that, man, I was thinking more like 5. However long it takes you to get out the words. Horrible, tragedy, senseless,
condolences, families,
that sort of thing. That as quick as you can get that spat out. That's all that he gave. But Mika, during all this, could we get that? Could we get that piece? Could we get that? I mean, she's wanting to give him just some sort. She just can't bring herself to admit that this was one of the stupidest, blundering, nit-witted, heartless, most callous speech that a president has ever given. at one of the crappiest times, and listen to Scarborough's point.
All right. When asked about the tone of the speech, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney defended it.